For many of us, from as far back as we can remember, there's always been an answer to our existence. Our parents often pass down their understanding of the usual questions: is there an afterlife? What happens when we die? Who created us? What is the meaning of life? And so on. Many of these answers have come from a religion passed down generationally, be it Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, or otherwise. The foundation of many of these belief systems are rooted in a time where much of the world based their existential views more on philosophy than what we would consider science today. As humanity has evolved through the centuries, universal truths that were once commonly accepted have been shattered by those who have continued exploring their curiosity. Take, for instance, Polish mathematician Nicolaus Copernicus in 1543, who posited that it was indeed the sun that was at the center of our solar system, not the Earth, as was universally accepted. His theories were largely rejected by his contemporaries for being nonsense until being advanced decades later by figures like Galileo Galilei and Johannes Kepler. Galileo, in particular, saw his life destroyed in pursuit of the theory despite sound reasoning and evidence. He was forced by the Catholic Church to recant his beliefs, as it was in such conflict with their doctrine that they could not be left to stand. He was jailed in his final years and even excommunicated. It was not until decades after his death that it became commonly accepted that he and his predecessors were correct. The problem has often been that what we know to be true is often a construct of the system around us. It is safer to accept what is commonly accepted than challenge what we would accept to be true. Many of those who have progressed our views or challenged truths in the world have done so often at the expense of being denigrated, punished, or worse, but we remain in their debt for their pursuits and sacrifice. As society has progressed, and by extension, science and technology, there has been an ever-growing body of research into the universe and an expansion of thought surrounding the answers we were once given as children with respect to our existence. Countless billions have been spent in pursuit of understanding the cosmos, from advanced telescopes revealing the very large to large particle accelerators revealing the mysteries of the very small. We are learning things and advancing our collective knowledge at an exponential rate. 40 years ago, the most advanced video game was a two-dimensional game called Pong. With the advent of advanced game engines like Unreal 5, assisted by artificial intelligence, much of what we are seeing today is nearly indistinguishable from reality. One would be forgiven for wondering what lies ahead. Could you imagine how things will look in 10 years, 100 years, 5,000 years? Could things become so real one day that you would not be able to distinguish between what is real and what is effectively artificial? What if technology became so advanced that perhaps it would be indistinguishable? How would you know what was real? How would you know if you were real? That is what philosopher Nick Bostrom set out to understand in 2004 in his now famous paper, Are You Living in a Computer Simulation? In the paper, Bostrom poses a trilemma where at least one of the following arguments must be true. 1. Almost all civilizations at our current level of development go extinct before being able to create a simulated reality. 2. We become sufficiently advanced such that we can create one but choose not to. Or finally, 3. We are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. Bostrom believes the last argument is the most likely, with prominent figures like Elon Musk, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, and cognitive scientist David Chalmers, all ascribing significant degrees of probability to the theory. Musk, for his part, has stated that the chance that we are in a base reality is 1 in billions. Bostrom's assumption is that one day conscious minds could be implemented on any sufficiently powerful computing device, and that reality could be adequately constructed by mathematics. This implies that if a civilization reaches a post-human stage, where it has access to enormous amounts of computing power, it could create many ancestor simulations, which are detailed and realistic simulations of its past or variations thereof, which could seek to serve any number of purposes. Some examples that proponents of simulation theory use to support their argument include that the universe is too finely tuned for life to exist by chance, and that it is more likely that it was designed by a creator or a simulator. For instance, if the gravitational constant or the cosmological constant were slightly different, life as we know it would not be possible. Additionally, some claim that the fact that the universe can be described by mathematics and logic suggests that it is a product of a rational mind or a computer program. For example, physicist Max Tegmark has proposed that the universe is a mathematical structure and that all possible mathematical structures exist as realities in a multiverse. Some also suggest that the weirdness of quantum mechanics, such as the wave-particle duality, the uncertainty principle, and the collapse of the wave function, indicate that the universe is not real, but a simulation that only becomes definite when observed. Bostrom himself has argued that this could be a way for the simulator to save computing resources by not rendering the details of the world until they are measured, much like how a modern video game works. Finally, some point out that the speed of light and the Planck scale, which are the limits of physical measurements in physics, could be analogous to the resolution and the pixel size of a computer simulation. But not everyone accepts Bostrom's theory as freely as some, putting forward objections that would question its probability. This includes the physical limits objection, which challenges the assumption that post-human civilizations have enough computing power to run a large number of ancestor simulations. It points out that there may be fundamental physical constraints, such as the speed of light, the quantum nature of reality, or the thermodynamic cost of computation, that prevent the creation of realistic and fine-grained simulations. Secondly, the ethical limits objection challenges the assumption that post-human civilizations would want to run ancestor simulations. This objection argues that running ancestor simulations would be morally wrong because it would involve creating conscious beings who suffer without their consent, and that post-human civilizations would have ethical standards that prohibit such actions. Lastly, the indifference principle objection challenges the probabilistic reasoning that Bostrom uses to derive the conclusion that we are living in a simulation. This objection questions the validity of the indifference principle, which is a principle that Bostrom invokes to assign equal probabilities to different scenarios when we have no information to discriminate between them. This objection claims that the indifference principle is arbitrary, unjustified, or inapplicable in this context. Whether true or even provable, the simulation argument remains a fascinating and provocative idea that challenges our sense of truth and invites us to reflect on the nature of reality, the future of humanity, and the meaning of our existence. It offers another possibility for us to consider, but perhaps creates more questions than it does answers. If we do exist in a simulated reality, does that mean that we have already lived this life before in a base reality? Will we continue to exist in future realities? Could we one day create a reality ourselves to revisit lost loved ones? Now, it is not my intention to disprove the truths that billions of people around the world know to be true, nor is it to disparage the inherent good that can come from one's religious beliefs and community. But I hope that this invites your curious mind to join the ranks of Copernicus, Galileo, and others in the pursuit of exploring this amazing world of ours and the universal truths that have yet to be discovered. Thanks for watching today. Let me know down in the comment section what your thoughts are on the theory. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. See you next time.